30,
Mm-hmm.
and I usually get about 50 to 60 frames with those builds.
In the game, or
yeah, it would
mm-hmm.
well, yeah, it would lock it, and then anywhere there was light, it would drop to about 7 or 8 frames.
Yeah.
Only sometimes, though. I don't know what caused it.
And well, and this might have been in some of the in the newest build, but I think we did some optimization to lights to both make them look better and also make them a little less resource intensive, I believe. So hopefully lights will be a little better for some people, and I feel like there was something else we had talked about doing that we haven't done yet. Like, well, we need to do some rendering optimization for sure. Looking back, Kobe says, yeah, we probably just should have made the game in 3D so that he could render things front to back versus back to front. Because basically, if you've got several layers of things, like several floor tiles overlapping and then like a stone wall over that, it's actually rendering every layer, even though you can't see them. And so, and if you did it in kind of a traditional 3D system, or I guess a modern 3D system maybe, it would render it in such a way that it never even renders those pixels that are hidden. And I think it's actually like in a 2D system, you can't really do that because the game, since you're not dealing with polygons in the same way, the game doesn't really know what's in front of or behind anything else, but it does in 3D because there's actual depth. And so at some point we will probably just after this game's over, overhaul the engine such that it is, even if we're doing 2D games, we would actually be using a 3D game engine. In some sense, so we could still use spine and everything. It would just render the character kind of in a 3D position in the game world, so that rendering was more optimized.
Right. Well, now you guys have heard it. It's confirmed. The next Elvis Drop game is going to be 3D.
Well, we've already got sort of weird 3D stuff like the pillars and all that, but
yeah.
It's totally I mean, yeah, it does the math to make it 3D, but it's actually there are definitely some bugs, and we had to do a lot of fiddling, which kind of wasted some time. I mean, basically stuff we just couldn't have really predicted because we'd never done this sort of thing before, and so it was kind of an experiment. But there were times where if you got the camera perspective in such a way that the pillar tilts down, I think, versus if you're looking down at the game, I'll just draw it here. So if this is the room and you're up here and the pillar is kind of at this angle, because it's not truly in 3D space, if there was a lamp or a pot or something here, the pot would show up above the pillar in certain cases. So we actually had to make the pillars shorter so you could kind of never get anything on screen that could overlap it in that way. And I think there are still some bugs where if there's a pot here, it will actually show up, its top will show up in front of the pillar. But obviously that perspective, since the pots aren't in perspective, the pots aren't in 3D, it's kind of just like an artifact of mixing the two systems.
Right.
So we're just going to live with it because most people think it looks cool in general, even though there are some wonky parts.
It's 2.5D.
Sure.
Yeah.
2.2D is probably more accurate. 2.1D.
Right. This is the sort of stuff that you never hear about in game design. All the workarounds.
So if anyone is interested in that kind of stuff, that mind bending, like how things are rendered in 3D versus 2D versus 2.5 and all that, go read up on how they did the graphics for A Link Between Worlds, the newest Zelda 3DS game, because they actually built the 3D because they were trying to make it look pretty much exactly like Link to the Past, but make it all in 3D assets. So what they actually had to do is, to get this weird perspective where you're looking at a room from a pretty much perfectly top-down perspective, so that the room goes like this. If this is a shoebox, you're looking straight at the shoebox. But obviously the pots and things are in that perspective. If you're looking straight down at a pot, it would just look like this normally, right? But they, to match, it's actually faked, not true kind of perspective to do this sort of thing. Or I guess on the other hand, you would have, a pot at the bottom of the screen that does that. they to basically find kind of a middle point to be able to do 3D and get a little perspective on these things and use the 3D capabilities of the 3DS. What they actually did was they built so that to make the pots look more like this than they would have normally been, you know, because the pot would have been kind of more like closer to straight down. They actually built them like if you view them from the side, they tilted them so the pot would be like this in their, you know, whenever they modeled it, it would be something like that instead of, you know, like normally you would just model a normal pot like so. They actually like skewed them backwards so that it leans back in space when viewed like
cool.
this. So
Matthew says a good example is the trees in that game, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I read about how they did it. I don't know if I saw a picture of the 3D models or not, but if I'm understanding correctly, that's how it would work. But there are probably some pictures online somewhere, or I imagine someone's taken that game apart by now.
That's pretty cool. I would never have thought to have done that.
So it's not too dissimilar from some of the tricks we're doing, except obviously we don't have any assets that are really in 3D. Or just like, you know, tricks that if you make any kind of top-down game, basically you've got to like fake some parts of the perspective and make it non-real.
Mm-hmm. So what are those little chains that are on his bandolier there?
Just decorations. I had this idea that the elementalists would kind of like garb themselves in these pieces of like natural objects. So like they've got metal bits and bark bits and stone and wood and, you know, trinkets and stuff as kind of like a way to help them channel energy or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So I just found out, I thought my girlfriend was going to be at work tonight, but apparently she's not, so I think she wants to eat dinner now. So I guess now that it's 6 o'clock and we've gone for 2 hours, I should probably wrap up the stream.
Yeah, no problem. Do you want me to read the outro?
Yeah, I should probably bring up my part until I have it memorized here.
Okay.
But I lost the tab.
No problem.
Go ahead.
So thanks to everyone for joining us for the live stream. I'm Vase. You can follow me for my work at 830 to Awesome on YouTube or at VASAE on Twitch.
And I'm Ryan Baker, a member of the Pixelscopic team, and Devil's Drop is still in development, but if you like what you've seen, you can pre-purchase the game and play it right now via the Humble widget on our site. Just go to delversdrop.com/buy or delversdrop.com/buy.
We'd also like to invite you to be involved with the rest of the fan community at our forums. If someone wants to post a link like Doom, he can post that. If nothing else, though, make sure to visit our straw poll, and I will post the link here now, where you can vote on the next week's discussion topic. We will see you next time at 3 p.m. Central, and remember we're in Daylight Savings Time, so that's GMT -5 for everyone not in the Midwest. If not in DST, it's GMT -6. Until next time, keep your torches lit.
Thanks. See you all later.